Today we're going to learn how to do an oil change if you've never done an oil change on a vehicle before. Now, I know what you're thinking, you don't have anything of this size or caliber. Don't worry, fundamentally it's all the same with a few key differences. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have all the necessary tools and equipment that you need, and of course oil. So some of you guys will have very common vehicles, so more than likely you're going to find the oil you need at the store, but make sure you have the correct oil filter on hand. The last thing you want to do is start taking apart the job, especially those oil filters on there really tight. You end up destroying them, and then now, especially you guys will have one vehicle and now you're stuck because you can't start your vehicle. So right here you're gonna need a drain pan, something to keep your oil in, a funnel or two depending on how your style. I usually keep one for waste oil and one for filling in oil. That way it keeps the contamination low. Again, enough oil to fill your thing up and a new filter. Now the first thing we're going to do is need to access the engine. Now before I go ahead and do that, special difference on this truck is this is a cab over. So if you have one of these, make certain as you come inside and you make sure that you don't have anything large or heavy enough, because when you tilt this forward, whatever is here is to come this way, and you have a pretty large windshield right here. Now granted, my windshield's already messed up, this is how I bought the truck or whatever it is, but you get the idea. You don't want to have something damaging your windshield. So let's go ahead and access the engine. Go ahead and put our safety pin in here so this thing doesn't come collapse on us. And here's the engine. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the oil fill cap, and let me get set up and we'll go on to the next step. Alright, next up, go ahead and put my drain plan in place. You just want to put it underneath the drain plug, which is right here. Now your drain plug size will vary, so mine is going to be a 27mm. Now ideally you want to have a drain pan large enough to hold the capacity of your oil, and for most vehicles, smaller vehicles that is, this will be adequate. This can hold about 2 gallons, but my truck holds about 3. So if you have exceeding amount of oil that will flood this, you're just going to be prepared to cap this back off, dump your oil out, and then come again a second round, or maybe 3. So let's go ahead and take off this drain plug. And drain out the oil. Now if you're paying attention to me, a trick you can do to minimize the amount of grease and oil that gets on your hand is, as you're unscrewing this, put some upwards pressure on there to hold the oil in, and then when you feel it like loose and you can't give any more, quickly pull out of the way. Now my hand's gonna get grimy because I have to stick this plug back in here. So it's starting to get filled on that side, so now I'm gonna go ahead and quickly close it back off. Now this is where this drain plug, this drain tank that I use, I actually built this myself. Well, refurbished, not built. This is actually a beer keg that I repurposed. And what I did is I removed the stem out of here, cleaned it out, and welded a stainless steel neck right here and put a cap on here. And I used this when I still work on forklifts, and it's very good because I had this thing tip over and be upside down and I wouldn't leak any oil out. So let's go ahead and pour in some of this oil in here. Be really careful if you're working with a diesel engine because this oil stains. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and pour it in. go ahead and take out the plug again. Make sure my pan is centered. And finish draining out the oil. It should go out same, but it helps if you're on a level surface. I don't exactly have a leveled surface because my drive has a little slant. But for the most part, worst position, it'll get out just about all the oil, so it'll be good. And the reason why you have a level surface is so you can get as much of the oil out as possible. A little won't hurt, but still, you want to get as much out as possible. So wait for that to drain. And we'll just leave it there for a while. Watch out for the wind. The wind will love to screw at you like that. I don't see any water or any abnormal particles in the oil, so that's good. The reason I say water is because when I bought this truck, I bought it with a blown head gasket and a severely warped head, and I had to replace, actually had to replace the radiator, the head gasket of course, and actually change out the cylinder head because of how severely warped it is, because it's so warped that the timing gears would potentially have binding if I were to reuse that old head. I'll explain all of that in another video. Alright, let me go ahead and put this back up in here. Alright. Give this a good cleaning. And then we'll just tighten it back. Make sure it's not going to come loose, because that oil will come out faster than you'll realize. Now I'm going to go ahead and redrain the pan out, and then we're going to get the oil filter. This oil filter is, as you can probably see in that first box, it's pretty massive. It's about the size of a head. So let me go ahead and drain this out. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the oil filter. Get this out of the way. This one's gonna be pretty messy. Very slick for me to grab onto. Let me use a rag. Give me some extra grip. There we go, much better. Go ahead and throw that in there. We'll leave the oil pan underneath so it can catch all that drippage. We clean up some of this extra spillage. Now, before I proceed further and put the new oil filter, you want to take your old one, and basically what you want to check for, grab my rag, you want to check your old oil filter and make sure that the gasket is still on it, because if you do a double gasketing action, you're going to have an oil leak, and it's going to shoot that oil out a lot faster than you realize. So now that we established that our oil gasket is on, the old oil filter, let's go ahead and get a new one. So here's our new oil filter. Got a genuine Mitsubishi Fuso oil filter. You can get whatever you want as long as it's a good quality. Avoid the orange fram of death. I never used those before, but I've heard a lot of stories of that. Make sure that we got our gasket. What I'm going to do is take a clean film of oil and apply it to this gasket. I'm using this clean engine oil. I know some people, well, I've done it before. I'll call myself, I'll use some old engine oil. And next we're going to go ahead and install the oil filter. It's kind of at a little weird angle, so it's probably going to give me a little fight with the threads. There it is. we cut. Now when you screw on your oil filter, you want to put on hand tight, unless whatever machine or engine or your manual calls for something different. You want to put on hand tight, and then once you get contact, follow instructions on the oil filter or whatever it says. And it says give it another 3/4 to 1.5 of a turn. Reason why you don't want to use power tools or even those hand manual tools is because when the engine starts running, it's gonna get hot, and that gasket is gonna make a bond, and when it comes time to take it off, you're going to be unable to take it off if you put it on too tight. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and pour in our new oil. We'll move our cap out of the way. We're gonna grab our funnel, and I'm gonna start with the big bottle. It's partially open. Should have checked for that while I was at the store. So like I said, before you pour your oil, you want to make sure you have the correct oil. So for this truck, it's going to be 15 weight 40. W is for weight, not winter. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. 15 winter 40. The W is not for weight. All right, the camera's reading the weight here, so I'm going to make clear. So let's go ahead and put this in now. It should go without saying, but before you start putting the oil, make sure your oil filter and especially your oil drain plug is back in the engine. Otherwise, all your oils can go straight to the floor. And oil's getting kind of expensive, so you don't want that. Alright, so that's 2.5 gallons. We need 1/2 gallon more. So I'm going to put half this bottle in. And then we'll go ahead and check the oil level. And I'll show you how to do that. Almost there. Alright, so that should be 1/2 gallon right there. So we're at 3. Go ahead and remove my funnel out of the way. Put on this rag so it doesn't make a mess. Replace the oil cap. And get the camera out the way, and now what we're going to do is we're going to drop the cap. We're going to start the engine and run it for about 10-20 seconds. This will circulate the oil throughout the systems, fill up the oil filter, and then we're going to the other side and we're going to check our oil level and then adjust as needed. Go ahead and remove our pin out the way. Okay, see we have 251,000 miles on this truck. I did the head gasket around 380,078 or so. I usually like to put a sticker up here. Now you can probably see that, you know, I have it marked at 385. And you're probably wondering, well, you just did an oil change, so won't you have to? Well, I'm still gonna do it every 5,000 miles because I believe that's the best interval on any vehicle. The way I'll put it this way: oil is cheap, your engine is not, and this engine is most certainly not cheap. So I actually lucked out the amount of parts that I found on this thing for a pretty good deal. So now we're gonna go ahead and turn on the truck, and then we're gonna crank it and let it run for 10-20 seconds. The oil light just came on because it's got to build up pressure. It'll go away in a little bit. Yes, it did. And basically what we're doing is we're going to let the oil circulate, fill up every system, fill up the oil filter, and then we'll turn it off, raise back up the cab, and then check the oil level. You must have the engine off to check your oil level. The flip side, you must have your transmission, well, the engine on and the transmission warmed up to operating temperature if you're checking the transmission oil level. Just food for thought. Let's go ahead and turn it off now. And go ahead and drop the cab. We're going to check the oil level on the dipstick, and because we ran the engine, the first pull, you always want to wipe it clean. Alright, oops. You want to wipe it completely clean. Go ahead and reinsert it in fully. Now pull it out. Now this time you make sure it's downward. Do not point it up like that, because if you do it like that, you see gravity's going to pull the oil down, and now you see I have a false reading now. So go ahead, wipe it again, stick it back in the tube, pull it out, and you can see we're just about maybe a few ounces low. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. So we're gonna add just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna check it again. So go ahead and pull off the cap, add just a little bit more. Now, since I wiped the dipstick already and I didn't ran the engine, we just pull out simply this time and check it. We are right at the full mark. I say that's good to go. Let's go ahead and put it back in. Replace our oil cap. And there you have it. You now learned how to do an oil change. Again, just because this truck is massive and you probably don't have anything of this caliber, don't worry. Fundamentally it's the same. Make sure you have the correct oil, make sure you have the correct filter, some basic tools to get the job done. And if you don't know how to, like your oil level stuff, it all varies. You can look online. Don't look at the AI interview on top of Google. Half the time they tell you some incorrect information or stuff that'll outright get you killed, okay? Look in the forum. There's plenty of forums for almost any vehicle out there. You'll find something. And if not, put in a little bit, check it, and put on till you get just about the level if for some reason you can't find your specs online or at a dealership or something. I hope this video helped you out. I hope you enjoy it, you learned something from it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, if I gave you some incorrect information or I could do something better, leave in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day. Some of you guys are probably going to wonder, and I forgot to add this in the main video, is where can I take my oil to dispose of it? And you can take it, I know for a fact O'Reilly's, because I take it to my local O'Reilly's down the road to drain oil. I think AutoZone and Napa, some of the auto places usually will accept oil, but if you don't have those places, you'll probably have to find locally who will accept waste oil. But off the top of my head, I know AutoZone, Napa, and O'Reilly's will accept used oil. So more than likely you're going to reuse your container that the fresh oil came in if you don't have like a tank like I do, and all you have to do is come in, let them know that you're draining oil. They'll point you out to a tank or so, and you drain your stuff and you go about your day. That is all. Thanks for watching.